Many times when we decide we want to lose weight, we go into a macro calculator. And one of the first questions it asks is, how fast do you want to lose the weight?
I'd like to lose it as fast as possible.
But there are some major issues with rapid weight loss diets.
Hey, what's up, family? I'm Rachel.
And I'm Joe.
And we are two crazy ketos.
Welcome back to the channel. And today we want to talk about, I'm going to say, a touchy subject.
And that subject is rapid weight loss diets.
Now, I have to start out by saying, when I first came to the ketogenic lifestyle, I really did start it to lose weight. I know we say all the time, don't just do keto to lose weight, do it for the overall health improvements. But at the time, number one, I didn't know about them. Number two, I honestly didn't care. I just wanted to lose weight. Right. I was in the middle of a weight loss bet, and there were some things that really intrigued me about keto. Number one, I was excited about all the delicious foods you're going to get to eat, like bacon and cheese and hamburgers. But the other thing that really appealed to me was a lot of people said that you could lose weight rather quickly on a ketogenic diet.
If you are going to be completely honest during this video, then I will be too. And I'm going to say that one of the biggest things that hooked me on keto was the thought, based on promises that I had read and seen and heard, that you could lose this weight without having to move your body at all.
Now, I am going to say all of those things are true, sort of. Yes, you get to eat really delicious foods, so long as you're willing to cut out pasta, grains, sugars, and starches.
Sure.
Yes, you can lose weight rather quickly when you compare it to what most people do to lose weight, which is calories in, calories out, eat less, move more. And then yes, you can lose weight on a ketogenic lifestyle without doing a lot of exercise, at least in the beginning. But the problem is when we start a ketogenic lifestyle, a lot of times we bring in bad habits.
One of the habits that I brought into keto was the thought of calorie restriction. That's what I was used to. I have been a lifelong dieter, and it was always about managing your calories and keeping them ultra low. So I would look at all of the ingredients that people would suggest that you could incorporate into a keto-friendly meal plan, and I would look for the things that had the least amount of calories, the least amount of fat. I really wanted to trade maybe a rice cake in my previous dieting experience for like only grilled chicken and broccoli with no butter on it, because that was more like keto-friendly food, but still allowing me to have kind of that traditional diet mentality.
And the problem is when we bring in that calorie restriction thing, and yes, you do have to watch what you eat. You can't just eat gobs and gobs of fat and not pay attention to like what you're eating.
Sure.
But we bring in this idea that we should be eating like 1,300, 1,400, 1,500 calories, and it quickly leads to stalls. And then when we get in that stall, the only thing we know is to lower it even more. And then when that doesn't work, we look for different hacks. And over the years, you've seen a lot of hacks when it comes to a ketogenic lifestyle. You've seen people do things like egg fasts. We've done them.
Sure.
You've seen things like beef, butter, bacon, and egg, which is like a reset. The sardine fast, just doing extended fasts of no eating at all. There's a lot of different ways that people have tried to hack things. And now there is a new one, and that's what we want to talk about. The new one that a lot of people are talking about is hyperketosis.
And that sounds beautiful. Like that sounds really fun. We're always looking to like optimize, to step it up. And so when you have something like keto where you know it works, you know that the components of keto have to do with a proper human diet. So you're thinking, okay, well, this seems like something sustainable, keto. And then you use the word hyper. Hyper means we're going to see results faster. We're going to go to an upper level on this. So hyperketosis seems very appealing.
There are three main components that your body is going to utilize for fuel. In order, the number one fuel that your body is going to use would be carbohydrates, sugars. And so that comes in the form of, like I said, sugar, honey, any kind of sugar product, or things that turn into sugar, like starches and wheats and grains and stuff like that. After that, your body would prefer to use fat. And then if there isn't any of the other things, then your body will utilize protein. It uses protein really as a building block for muscles and amino acids, but it can use it for fuel through a process of gluconeogenesis. So when you eliminate carbohydrates, your body will use the fat as a fuel source. If you eliminate the carbohydrates and the fat, then your body is going to use protein, but again, it can't just directly use the protein, it has to convert it to sugar or glucose, and your body will then use that for fuel. That adds some other problems aside from the fact that it's very inefficient. One of the things that makes keto so miraculous, in my opinion, is the fact that it helps you to control your glucose, which helps to work with insulin resistance, people who are pre-diabetic. You've even seen some people who have diabetes be able to reverse or put into remission that diabetes. Now, we do have to say, we're not doctors, nurses, or health professionals. Everything we talk about is based on our own personal experience, our knowledge, learning, reading, becoming certified master health coaches, and as well as talking to people who we have in our lives who are professional healthcare practitioners like doctors, nurses, and things like that. So that's why keto works. And when you follow it, you can lose weight rather quickly unless you start applying your preconceived things of eating too little. There's an order to having to do it. So now that we've talked about that, let's get into hyperketosis, because this is the new buzzword.
And just like where we've seen food companies try to capitalize on the keto name, it seems right and reasonable for people to say, hey, I think that there's money to be made with books and programs that are focused on the keto community. So, keto is talked about a lot, but if someone says, hey, I've got the edge, I've got the hack, you can almost guarantee that people are going to put their money down for that. People are going to lean into that because, being consistent, Joe, it's boring, right?
Well, the thing is that if you've been morbidly obese like myself, like Rachel, or if you've just had a weight problem in general, we get desperate.
Yeah.
And the diet industry knows that. That's why more money is spent on the diet industry than anything else, between books and programs and pills. I mean, listen, I've tried them all. I mean, I did Deal a Meal. I did, the Susan powder, eat only baked potatoes. I mean, I did the go to the gym. I did them all. Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, you name it. We even did some ridiculous things on our own, like only eat ramen noodles, only eat Progresso soup. So we've tried them all, and we understand the desperate nature. That's why so many people lean to bariatric surgeries and weight loss surgeries and things like that. So when you have something coming in promising extreme rapid weight loss, it is tempting. I'm going to start off before we even get into hyperketosis and say hyperketosis is not keto. It's just not keto. I also want to say, if you are currently doing this, this is not a bash on you.
No way.
This is not a condemnation on you. We're just giving you our knowledge so that you could make a proper decision of, do you want to do this after you understand everything that it's actually doing within your body. So we're not trying to bash other YouTubers or Instagrammers or anything. We're just giving you our knowledge so that you have all of the information that you need. So why do I say hyperketosis is not keto? Because it's not. It has one thing in common with it. So when you eat a ketogenic lifestyle, the whole idea is your body no longer is using carbohydrates for fuel, it uses fat for fuel, and it creates ketones. Ketogenesis, which is the act of your body making ketones for fuel, is basically our body's way of not starving to death. That's literally what it is. I don't have fuel coming in, I need ketones, I need to use this fat, so I'm gonna produce them. If you look at cattle, cattle, when they get sick, one of the first things a vet does is check, are they in ketogenesis? Do they have ketones? Because if they have ketones, it means they're not eating.
Right.
Same thing with human beings. The only thing that hyperketosis has in common with a ketogenic lifestyle is that you will produce some ketones, but it's really because you're just not eating.
Before we move on, I do have a question, and that is, where in the world did the idea of hyperketosis even come from?
So I've done a lot of research. I've spent a lot of time browsing the Googles and reading and trying to get as much information about hyperketosis as possible before making this video. And the best that I can see is it started out from a specific content creator who I am not going to name on TikTok, and it became like a TikTok craze. Now, side note, anytime something is like a TikTok craze,
red flag.
I would look long and hard before considering to do that, especially when it comes to my health. Just like, let's remember things like eating laundry detergent was like a TikTok craze,
Yes.
so we can just go there. But it does look like that's where it started. It started from a specific content creator who labels himself as a rapid weight loss coach, making ridiculous claims where you can lose 70 pounds in a month. And also, this person does sell some rather expensive programs to get coached by him.
Now, my first thing when I met with that is, where is your education from? Like, I can go to you as a coach and I can be like, okay, Joe, I want to hire you as my coach. Do you have any actual background training, certification that I can take a look at? Or is this just something just coming up in your mind that you're just making up as you go along? So to this point, have you seen any certification for this person or anything that shows that they're connected to anything reasonable?
I haven't seen anything like that, and I don't even need to get into it because, again, we're not going to name this person or other content creators that are promoting it. We want to simply talk about what it is based on all of the information we found directly from that content creator and then also from other content creators that we found that's doing it. But again, I just want to explain, this is not a ketogenic lifestyle. They've just decided to stick the name ketosis in there. So we're going to start off with the whole idea of what you're going to do with it. The idea is you are going to eat 2 meals a day in an 8-hour or less eating window, preferably in the afternoon, according to the person who has created this, starting at 12 o'clock, with your last meal being before 8 p.m. So far, so good. Completely agree. 2 to 3 meals a day.
Keep it in the daylight hours.
In an eating window during daylight hours. My personal thing is some people do better in the morning, some people do better in the evening. So Rachel likes to eat morning to afternoon. I like to eat afternoon to evening, but we're not going to get into that part with it. Second part, you're going to eat 2 meals a day. And in the 2 meals, you're going to eat a protein, some vegetables, and some fruit. And this is where we're going to see a real deviation from a ketogenic lifestyle. So for proteins, you're only going to eat lean meat.
So wait a second. That means that ruminant animals are probably not going to be the priority unless you're getting something really lean like deer, maybe.
A lot of ruminant animals are very lean. The examples that they're going to give you are you can eat chicken, including chicken thighs, but you cannot have the skin, wild bison, veal, perch, elk, flounder, beef, whitefish, lobster, turkey, crab, albacore, wild tuna, shrimp, trout, pheasant, scallops, halibut, codfish, venison, eggs, which I'm kind of surprised that's on there because that's a little bit fattier, mahi-mahi, and swordfish.
So no salmon.
No salmon because it's fatty.
No sardines.
No sardines.
It's fatty.
And for the beef and things like lamb and stuff like that, which lamb's not even on this list, but for those kind of things, you're looking for the leaner cut. So ground beef, you're going to be looking at 90-10 or 93-7 or even 97-3. Sirloins, no ribeyes, no New York strips, nothing with all of the extra fat, no brisket. It's only the lean meats.
How much of this sadder version of protein do I get to eat?
So their recommendation is 4 ounces per meal 2 meals a day.
8 ounces total?
Now, if you're doing fish, like if you're gonna have a swordfish or codfish or something like that, you can bump it up to 6 ounces.
Whoa.
But they are saying 4 ounces of meat, 6 ounces of fish. Now, if you're wondering, what does that work out to be? I put some things into a calculator.
Like the hand, the
if
palm
you
thing?
were to eat 4 ounces of ground bison and then say 4 ounces of chicken thighs with no skin, that's gonna work out to be roughly 45 grams of protein for the day.
Oh my goodness.
Which is less than half of what my personal opinion is anybody should be consuming.
But then let's talk about ourselves, Joe. As we get older, like you're over 50 years old. So you're eating protein and you're not even getting the full value of the protein like you were when you were 25 years old.
Yeah, as you get older, you lose muscle mass. Your body needs more protein to maintain the muscle mass. So here's the big problem, as you're gonna see as we go through the rest of the foods. And I'm gonna do this kind of quickly because I don't really want to tout the diet, but I really want to get into the problems with this.
Okay.
So the protein is really going to be, that's it, that's your protein. But remember, we're eliminating carbohydrates and fats as well. So you're basically gonna use this protein as a building block for your muscles, your amino acids, and also your fuel source. Because now they're gonna say you're trying to burn body fat, but there's other issues. We'll get into that in a little bit. So that's the protein. Then you're supposed to eat 3 servings of vegetables per meal, again, 2 meals a day. And they don't give you an amount for servings. They say go ahead and Google servings, but he talks about like a tennis ball size. And if it's things like green leafy things like lettuce and stuff like that, it would be 3 tennis balls. Here's the problem. First of all, vegetables, they have no nutrients in them. I know people don't want to hear that, but unless you're getting your vegetables locally grown in season from a regenerative farm where you're dealing with a farmer who grew vegetables, then brought on cattle, then after the cattle left, brought on chickens, then after the chickens left, brought on pigs, and then replanted, and then basically give the land a chance to rest every few years.
There's not nutrition in it.
There's no nutrition in those vegetables. The creator says that the purpose of the vegetables is to fill you up.
So I do not kill you while I'm trying to eat this little amount of food.
But you're getting no nutrients from it.
Okay.
Finally, you're going to eat 1 serving of fruit per meal.
Per meal?
Per meal.
Okay.
Now the fruits that they are recommending are apples, pears, cherries, peaches, plums, apricots, oranges, tomatoes, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, blueberries. I'm okay with the berries. Lemons, limes, grapefruits, and watermelon, which is 1 time a week.
Oh my gosh. I mean, this is just good. This is sugar.
Yeah,
Boom.
it's sugar. My guess would be the reason you're going to eat that stuff is because it's going to give you energy, because you're going to be, as we're going to talk about in a minute, you're going to be lacking a lot of energy.
Sure.
Okay, let's wrap this up with the rest of it, and then we're going to get into 6 reasons why this could really impact your health.
What are you cooking?
So you are to cook only with red or white wine vinegar, rice vinegar, broths, and they allow you to use skinny girl dressings, which are honestly not very healthy for you.
Well, that has no oil in it at all.
Yeah, no oils, so
Butter.
no added fats, no avocado oil, no olive oil, no added fats at all.
Okay.
The only fat you're consuming is the little bit that is in the lean meats that you are consuming. So no added fat. So you are eating almost 0 fat in the day, other than a little bit that's going to be in your meat and eggs.
So I may not totally get filled up in the sitting, and then there is no fat to sustain me between meals. So basically I'm just living and white knuckling for the sugar hit with like an apple or a slice of watermelon.
Okay, then what they recommend is having a reset day somewhere in this. By the way, you're doing this for 40 days.
40 straight days.
And it gets better than that. But you're going to have a 1-day water fast somewhere in there. You're going to have an apple fast in there where you eat 6 apples.
What?
And then also a protein fast where you would eat a large steak and an apple for dinner. Then also you're allowed black coffee, only black coffee. They say smoothies are okay, I guess because you can take all that fruit and vegetables and put it in a smoothie. And then the only thing you can use for sweetener would be liquid stevia. So like I said, 40 days, then you're supposed to do 20 days of like maintenance, like regular keto. and then you're gonna go back to this again for 40 days.
Sure, I'm coming back after 20 days of regular keto.
The biggest thing that you also will see in here, it's almost like a promise of original keto. No strenuous exercise. You can only do light walking. So no exercise at all. No lifting weights, no nothing. So you're not eating any protein, so you are gonna be losing muscle.
So just
and you're
let
doing
the
nothing
muscle-
to maintain your muscle.
Let the muscle leave your body and then stay weak.
So that is the protocol for hyperketosis.
That sounds miserable. Like, I do not know how I'm going to continue working while on that protocol. And also, it really does not sound keto at all.
So basically what it is a severe, and I mean severe, calorie restriction diet. That is all it is. So I put together a little sample thing, and I honestly added in some stuff that, like, I don't know, is probably beyond, but I tried to keep it sort of keto.
Okay.
Okay?
Like
so
berries.
You're coming in here and like trying to keep it sort of keto. So just coming in and saying, again, 4 ounces of bison, and then also in my other meal having 4 ounces of chicken thighs without the skin. I put in eating an entire head of lettuce for one meal.
Because I'm desperate.
And then having like 3 cups of lettuce for another meal.
Right.
I put in having celery, having cucumbers. I put all of that in, and then for the fruits, I put half a cup of strawberries.
Because that's more keto.
Right, and then I also said 1 medium-sized Granny Smith apple. So an apple on the less sugar side.
Right.
And it worked out to be less than 700 calories for the day.
This would put me back to the calorie restriction I was on and gained 70 pounds on before I started keto, where it was like 500 calories a day. So like you're getting in that realm.
Yes, it's a severe calorie restriction diet. That is all it is. So will you lose some weight on it?
Sure.
Probably at the beginning, yes, you will. With that being said, let's get into 6 things you should consider before starting a hyperketosis regimen. Number 1 is when you are restricting the carbohydrates in your eating lifestyle, your body needs fat for fuel.
And that's what's so great about keto, because it's very straightforward. You've reduced the carbohydrates to almost as low as possible, and you've upped the fat. And so it tells your body, hey, fat is the fuel source.
So on this regimen, you are restricting carbohydrates, sort of. If you look at my example there, it's somewhere around 60 or 70 carbs, which is still very low carbohydrate compared to a standard American diet. But you're not giving it any fuel. So you're gonna burn through those carbohydrates very quickly, and now you don't have the fat source. So in the absence of carbohydrates and fat, your body will revert to stored body fat for a little while. But quickly it's going to go, I don't know how long that's gonna last. So what it will begin to do is use the protein that you're consuming and your muscle to create fuel. So what's going to happen on this is very quickly, within that 40 days, you will begin to lose lean muscle. And as we said earlier, when you hit the age of 50, you lose 1% of your muscle mass every single year. So we've got an issue now where we're not consuming any fat, we're not consuming many carbohydrates, and we're consuming very little protein. So you're going to break down the muscle in your body.
Let's get to number 2, and this one's very important because, we always talk about nutrient density. There's a lot of people are deficient in certain, different vitamins. And here's the thing, sometimes fat is essential to unlocking fat-soluble vitamins.
So your body cannot make omega-3s and omega-6 fatty acids. You need to consume them. And now you're again in a situation where you're not really consuming any fat unless you're eating eggs, but I have a feeling that those eggs are gonna very quickly put you up. And again, 4 ounces of eggs is just not a lot. Also, 0 fat intake means your inflammation is gonna increase.
Ugh.
It means you're going to end up with some brain fog and mood issues. You could end up with some crashing of your hormones because again, you need that fat. And also dry skin, brittle nails, and hair loss.
Yeah, and that is precisely what I experienced when I was in a severe calorie restriction state. My skin turned green. I got lots of bumps and acne. My hair fell out. I mean, you can see in our first videos when we were starting out on keto, I am still recovering hair-wise. That's why my hair is dyed super, super dark and kept very, very short, because I had lots of patches of baldness all over my head.
Now, moving on to number 3, you're going to be putting yourself at risk for fat-soluble vitamin deficiency. So these are vitamins that your body really needs but require fat. Things like vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. All of those require fat to be absorbed into your body, but you're not eating any fat.
Well, and even if you are magically getting all of your vegetables from like a regeneratively farmed source and they have vitamins in them, you can't unlock those vitamins without the fat.
And I know somebody is probably going to go down below saying, well, there is a little bit of fat in meat. Not enough. If you look at my example from earlier of what I put together in Chronometer using chicken thigh, which is a higher fat meat, it was still less than 20 grams of fat for the day. That just would not be enough. If you look at keto chow, one serving of keto chow requires a minimum of 10 grams of fat, and that's only going to give you a third of the nutrients you need. So you're just not going to be consuming enough fat.
Now let's move on to number 4, which has to do with gallbladder and liver health.
So fat stimulates bile in your body, and it regulates your gallbladder activity. If you are not consuming fat, you affect your gallbladder. Dr. Berry has talked about this numerous times in presentations at different keto conferences, and the fact that one of the reasons that a lot of people have gallbladder issues and have to take their gallbladders out is because we got into this low-fat craze where we stopped eating fat, and your gallbladder is a muscle. Well, what happens if you don't work a muscle?
Atrophy.
It goes into atrophy, and that's what happens with our gallbladder. So by not eating any fat, we are affecting our gallbladder because now it basically doesn't have a job. So number 5 is going to be hormone disruption.
And this is something that, you know, we can all battle with, especially if you're in menopause, perimenopause, or maybe like you're a young person and you're trying to get pregnant. Like, hormones are so important, and you are really risking a hormone disruption.
So keto without fat results in crash leptin, insulin, and sex hormones. I definitely don't want that one. It also messes with your metabolism. It messes with your mood, it messes with your sleep and your reproductive health. It's just not a good idea to be doing a ketogenic lifestyle, which again is eating low carbohydrate without consuming fat. So you basically are giving your body no fuel source.
That brings us to number 6, which has to do with muscle wasting and fatigue.
So as we said earlier, your body has basically 3 fuel sources: carbohydrates, fat, and protein, and that's the order. The thing is you're not eating a lot of carbohydrates, because again, even 60 or 70 is not a lot of carbohydrates. You're not eating pretty much any fat, and you're eating very little protein. Your body needs fuel. Now, I know proponents of this are going to say you have stored body fat, which is true, but your body is a giant computer, and it starts looking at going, oh my gosh, how long is this gonna last? Because I'm not getting enough, I'm not getting what I need to just survive. So it slows down its metabolism, which slows down its fat burning source, and it begins to create its own fuel. And since you're not consuming any protein or enough protein, it breaks down the muscle. And again, we've already discussed the problems with that. But that ends up leading to weakness, slower metabolisms because your muscle controls your metabolism, and then also really extreme fatigue.
Now, Joe, I think what I'm gonna say to you, if I want to like practice this protocol anyway, because I am desperate to lose weight and I've absolutely been there, I'm gonna say, Joe, this is just short term. I'm just going to do this for 40 days and then I'm tapping out of this and everything will be fine.
So again, this is a starvation diet. In my opinion, you would be better off fasting for 40 days than doing this. And I am not recommending that. I'm saying you would be better off because your body has a way of preserving things, as you can go read with Dr. Jason Fung, but your body can preserve things better when you're not giving it anything. But here you're kind of like teasing it.
Right.
It's like giving your body one, like, Hershey's Kiss and then saying, that's it, right? It's why can't you only eat one? I mean, it's literally you're teasing your body. So the big problem is this, is the protocol is 40 days, 20 days of keto, then back to 40 days. You will do a lot of damage in that 40 days. But, and again, you're eating 600 to 700 calories, if you're lucky, eating this protocol. From there, after 40 days, you're gonna go back to eating a ketogenic lifestyle. Let's say you only double it. Let's say you only double it and go up to 1200, which is still not enough and generally gonna be lower than anybody's basal metabolic rate. You are going to regain weight quickly in those 2 weeks. Again, without a lot of scientific evidence in front of me, I'm gonna guess you're probably gonna gain back at least 15 to 20% of the weight you lost, and that is not going to be water weight. You'll gain some water weight, but you're gonna gain back fat because you're taking a metabolism that was operating here at this amount of food and all of a sudden giving it this amount of food. Your metabolism needs to work its way up, and to go from 600 to 1200 calories and without gaining weight, that should take you roughly 12 weeks.
I really think about too the effects on my brain and on my body. Like what am I going to be like at work? How am I going to be as a parent? Is my mind going to be able to be, fueled properly for me to concentrate on what I need to concentrate on? And also by giving up and allowing all my muscle to just kind of dissipate as I'm trying to chase weight loss, what happens if I fall and break something? What's that recovery going to be like?
It's going to be horrible. I mean, the bottom line is this. Eating a low-fat to zero-fat diet along with a minimal amount of protein for 40 days is a starvation diet. It is not a ketogenic diet. It may seem like a really good idea to do this really hardcore diet for 40 days in an effort to jumpstart things or lose a tremendous amount of weight quickly. But in our opinion, this is biologically unsafe and certainly not a proper human diet. Now again, if you are doing this, we are not trying to bash you. We just want to give out all of the information so that you can make an informed decision. And if you choose to do it, you are still welcome in our group, and everybody will always be around to support you. But we want everybody to have all of the knowledge they need in order to make the decision for what the best eating lifestyle for them is. Now, if you've gotten anything out of this video, we would really appreciate it if you take a look at the video we have linked right over there. Also, make sure you take a look at the most recent videos I'm gonna put right over here.
But whether you head this way or you head this way, don't forget to head this way, subscribe to our channel, and click the little bell icon, and that way every single time we upload a new video, you will be alerted to it.
Till next time,
bye.
Bye.